Hello, everybody. Thank you all for coming. We're very excited to have you. Our actors are entering the space. They don't know what's waiting for them. Anyway, I just want to welcome you all to our Calvary's first go at Radio Theater Readers Theater. So I'm going to give you a little bit about what we're doing here. We took two radio scripts from like the 1930s and early 40s, and we are performing them live in front of you. And so along with that, in radio fashion, we have live sound effects that are being performed by our technicians at our table in the back. But we are kind of combining radio theater with live theater, and so we are arrived at the style of readers theater, where our actors will read their lines from their scripts in front of them. So really this is for ears, but we have kind of made it so it's also visually appealing. We have some lighting changes, very beautiful, that will help you engage in the story. So before we get going, I have a few things. Please silence your cell phones, because there's nothing more embarrassing and jarring than a phone going off in the middle of the play, especially when somebody might be murdered. We have, in the case of an emergency, be aware that there's a fire exit behind you, to your right, in front of you, to your right, and in the way you came in. We don't ever anticipate emergencies, but, murders do happen. We will be having a 10-minute intermission between the first episode of our night and the second episode of our night. It's really just there to give us enough time so we can switch our sound effects and switch actors. So it's shorter than a regular intermission, but you feel free to stretch your legs. We have some programs that have little tidbits of information about the episodes we're doing tonight and really fun bios from the cast. So if you have not picked one up, feel free to pick one up at the table in the entryway during intermission. Also, this is our last performance for the weekend, so after this, we have to pick everything up. So we have to take down our platform and some of our lights and our psychs and get all the sound equipment put away and ready for school on Monday. So we just request that after the show, and you want to come and greet the actors, I approve of that, but if you can kind of keep it, short-ish, because we'll need to be doing a lot of work to pick things up. And if you do want to continue conversations, please feel free to do it out in the lobby. Just kind of move the conversation out there, because otherwise you never know. You might get murdered with a hammer as we are picking things up and tearing things down. So with that, let us open in prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, we want to thank you for giving us the opportunity to be able to perform these fun old radio shows for our audience, and we pray that you'll be with our performers and our technicians to put on this show with excellence to glorify you. In Jesus' name, amen. And with that, I hope you enjoy our patented blend of suspense, thrills, terror, camp, and laughs.
Hair Tonic and Kreml Shampoo present The New Adventures of Sherlock Holmes, starring Amanda Harmon as Dr. Watson and John Harms as Sherlock Holmes. Now, once again, it's time to keep that weekly appointment with our good friend and host, Dr. Watson. Good evening, Dr. Watson.
Good evening, Mrs. Bell. As usual, you're punctual to the minute.
Oh.
Pull up a chair and make yourself comfortable.
Thank you.
That's it?
I see that you have the old black tin dispatch box out again, Dr. Watson. I deduce that you were going over your notes on tonight's case.
Elementary, my dear. Among the records, I came across some notes of cases that I'd almost forgotten. The shocking death of Crosby the banker, the Adeltine tragedy, and some darker than usual stories of the ancient pharaohs.
Those stories sound pretty intriguing, Dr. Watson.
I shall tell them to you some other evening, Mrs. Bell. Tonight, I'm going to recount an adventure that took place in the heart of the beautiful English countryside. I call it The Adventure of the Tolling Bell. Well, That story began in a small country village of Conforth. Holmes had recently brought to a successful conclusion the affair of the Barrow and Furness wheelchair murder. We decided a few days' rest in nearby Conforth would do us both good before returning to our arduous lives on Baker Street. We were staying in a small but comfortable inn. Only, on the morning of the third day, I remember, Holmes and I were in our sitting room waiting for those two essentials without which an English country gentleman could not start his day, an early morning cup of tea and a jug of hot water for shaving. As we sat there at the open window, a nearby church bell was tolling a funeral knell. There must be a funeral in the village, Holmes.
An astonishing deduction, Watson.
There's no need to make fun of me. Impressive sound, isn't it?
I suppose so. Has it ever occurred to you, Watson, that the history of bells is full of romantic interest?
Well, I can't say I've thought much about it.
Almost every historical event has been accompanied by the sound of bells. They summoned soldiers to arms as well as Christians to church. They sounded the alarm of fire in the tumult of invasion. And many a bloody chapter in history has been rung in and out by bells.
Well, you seem to be a mine of information on the subject.
Yes, Watson. It's a fascinating subject.
Come in, come in. Good morning, my dear.
Pardon me. I brought your tea and your shaving water. Mrs. Mickle said to say your breakfast will be ready in half an hour.
Splendid, Marion. Oh, Mary, the church bell is tolling a funeral now. Do you know who's being buried?
That I do. I wish it was me. It will be my turn soon.
Poor little thing. I wonder what's the matter with her.
I have no idea.
Perhaps her father or mother just died? Or a young man. Yes, I bet that's it. She's a pretty girl. She'd obviously been crying when she came in. Perhaps that's her fiancé they're burying now.
Watson, you have the sentinel imagination of the true storyteller. But we have come here for a holiday. You must give your imagination a rest too. So, drink your tea, and we'll go downstairs and investigate those kippers.
You like your kippers?
Excellent, Mrs. Mickle, excellent. Never eaten better.
Yes, indeed. By the way, Mrs. Mickle, we heard the funeral bell tolling earlier on. Do you know who's being buried?
Yes, I do. 2 souls were being buried, and one of them was a murderer.
A murderer? Lord, even in this peaceful village.
What happened, Mrs. Mickle?
Old Threadgold, the corn merchant, found out his wife had been gallivanting around with a young fellow from Bolton. Cut her throat, he did, and then hanged himself. More tea?
Oh, thank you.
Shocking. So the peaceful countryside is not as peaceful as it's made out to be, Holmes?
A fact that I frequently had occasion to point out to you, Watson. Has the morning post yet arrived, Mrs. Mickle?
Here comes old Gilly up the path with it now. I'll see if she's got anything for you.
A murder. What do you make of it, Holmes?
What is there to make of it, Watson? A jealous husband murders a faithless wife and then commits suicide. A tragic story, but a simple one.
Top of the morning to you.
Good morning, Gillian. Any letters for me today?
Hi, Mr. Holmes. 2 letters. One of them's got some newspaper clippings in it, I think. And you got a postcard from a Mr. Lestrade. He wants you back in London bad, Mr. Holmes. There you are.
Upon my soul, Gilly, you've been reading Mr. Holmes' private correspondence.
Bless you, Dr. Watson. If I didn't read other people's correspondence, how would I know what's going on in the village?
You are right, Gilly. It is newspaper clippings. And by the way, you heard about the murder of Mrs. Threadgold, I suppose?
Heard about it. I told about this morning at the funeral.
You're the bell ringer as well as the postman?
Bless your heart. Yes, Doctor. President of the Choral Society, too, as well as being on the parish council.
Oh, a busy woman, Gillian.
That I am, sir. Take this afternoon now. I'm to ring those bells again.
Not another funeral, surely.
No, a wedding this time.
Oh, I'm glad to hear it.
Young St. Perry is marrying the Slater girl, and you might say I'm responsible for bringing them together. Got some of the letters mixed up, I did. They looked each other up to exchange them, and presto, before you know what's happening, they're getting married. Regular Cupid, you might say I am.
Be off with you, Gilly. Other people want their letters. Mr. Holmes doesn't want his kippers spoiled with your idle chatter.
All right, Miss Crab Apples and Vinegar.
Ugh!
One of these fine days you'll smile, and the whole world will come to an end. Good day.
Talkative old busybody she is. Oh, Mr. Holmes, Mr. Lackland's in the hall. The poor old man is most anxious to talk to you.
Mr. Lackland?
He has the tailor shop on the high street. His only son ran away from home a few months back. I think that's what he wants to speak to you about.
Oh, but my friend's here for a rest, Mrs. Mickle.
I told him that, Doctor, but he won't go away without seeing Mr. Holmes.
Oh, very well. Ask him to come in, please, Mrs. Bickle.
Yes, Mr. Holmes.
Why bother to see him, Holmes? It sounds like a trivial matter.
The disappearance of an only son can never be a trivial matter.
Well, I meant trivial for you, not for him.
This is Mr. Holmes and Dr. Watson, dear.
Thank you, Emmy. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Please, sit down, Mr. Lackland. That's it. Now, what's the trouble?
It's Tom, sir. Me only son. He left me 4 months ago, and I've not seen eye nor hair of him since.
You've had no message from him since he left?
Not one word. I'm fair out of me mind, sir.
Have you any idea of his reason for leaving the village, Mr. Lackland?
None, sir. He was a good boy, and he worked hard, and he didn't fool around with those flippity-gibbet girls in the village. I think he's met with foul play, and I want you to find out about him for me, Mr. Holmes. I've heard say in the village that you're the greatest detective in England.
Mr. Lackland, I'd be glad to help you, but you've given me no clues to work with. I'm afraid that I
If
really
it's
can't.
money you want, I've got £20 in me savings. It's all yours if you can bring my Tom home to me, or at least tell me he's safe.
Mr. Lackland, I wouldn't dream of accepting a fee. However, I shall give your problem some thought. If I arrive at any conclusions, I'll get in touch with you at once.
God bless you, Mr. Holmes. Good morning to you.
Good day.
Good morning. Poor old chap. I don't see how you can help him, Holmes.
Nor do I. At the moment. But a young man who has grown up in a small village like this may have led a life that his father is totally unaware of. You said that you have to work on one of your stories today, Watson.
Yes, I had a letter from the editor of the Strand magazine yesterday requesting a manuscript as soon as possible.
Splendid. Then you must stay at the inn and work on your latest masterpiece, while I scour the village to see what may be found about the missing young man.
There you are, Holmes. I was beginning to think you got lost.
Hello, Watson. I trust you had a profitable session with pen and paper.
I got about half a chapter. I would have done more if it hadn't been for those infernal bells.
Ah, the wedding ceremony that the worthy Gillian told us about this morning. Ooh, I'm tired.
What did you find out about Mr. Lackland's son?
Among other things, that he had a secret love life unknown to his father, and the object of his affections was none other than the maid who brought us our tea this morning.
Mary. Did you talk to her?
No, it's her half-day off and I was unable to find her. But I shall question her when she brings us our tea tomorrow morning. Come in, Mary.
Oh, Mrs. Mickle.
Good morning. Here's your tea and shaving water.
Where's Mary this morning?
She didn't come to work. Must be ill again. Not a reliable girl and no better than she ought to be if you ask me. It's no job for me to be carrying tea and hot water upstairs.
I hear the village bell tolling for another funeral. Does Conforth have a burial every morning? I really don't see how the population can run to it.
It's another suicide, sir.
Another suicide. Good Lord.
Old John Letterby, the baker. He was expecting some money from his son in Australia. It never came and they foreclosed on his shop. And then he hanged himself. Will you be wanting a couple of boiled eggs to your breakfast?
No, I haven't much of an appetite. Thank you very much.
Yes, ma'am.
That woman seems absolutely heartless. She almost smacks her lips when she tells us about these tragedies.
Yes, Watson, I noticed it. This peaceful village is beginning to seem strangely sinister to me. And since you have no appetite for breakfast, perhaps you'll join me at a little excursion as soon as you're ready.
Of course. Where are we going?
To see the maid, Mary. I'm anxious to talk to her before another funeral bell begins to toll.
This must be the cottage, Holmes. They said it was the one with honeysuckle over the gate.
Yes, and there's Mary sitting on the porch.
She's got up. She's coming up the path to meet us.
Good morning, Mary. I'm sorry you're not feeling well.
Mr. Holmes, Dr. Watson, why have you come here? Not to ask about my health. Why should a servant go matter to the likes of you?
Oh, you misjudged us, my dear. I assure you that we are...
No, Watson, let's be honest and admit that we didn't come here because of our concern for Mary's health.
Then why did you come here, sir?
Mr. Lackland asked me to try to find his son, Tom.
Tom?
Yes, Tom Lackland. I thought you might be able to help me, Marion.
If I could help you, Mr. Holmes, I'd be helping myself, too. Here comes Gilly, the postman. Gilly, is there a letter for me today?
Nah, dearie, there's nothing for you again.
There must be. Gilly, there must be.
Nah, dearie, if a letter would come, I'd bring it to you as fast as my legs would carry me. You know that. Morning, Mr. Holmes, Dr. Watson. Left some letters at the inn for you, Doctor. Had a letter from a gentleman.
How did you know it was from a gentleman?
Reeked of the smell of cologne, it did. And it was written in green ink on grey paper.
Amazing deduction.
That sounds like your young friend from Dallas, Watson.
How did you know about... I mean, I don't have a young friend from Dallas.
Right. Gilly, you told another funeral bell today, didn't you?
Aye, sir. A tragic thing it was. Fate, you might call it. Old Letterby hanged himself because he didn't get the money from his son in Australia. I found him, I did. I was the one to cut him down. And right in me post bag was the letter he was waiting for. The letter that would have saved his life.
Great Scott, what a ghastly piece of irony.
That it was. Well, I'll be on my way. Good day. Mary, perhaps that letter will arrive tomorrow.
No, I'll never hear from Tom now. He's ashamed of me. That's why he deserted me.
Deserted you, Mary? You speak almost as if you were his wife.
I am his wife.
What?
We were married secretly in Rochdale 5 months ago, come Tuesday.
And he never told his father?
He was afraid to. He thought I was beneath him. Tom said he'd go away and get a good job and then return here and fetch me back with him. He went away all right, but he never came back or sent me a word.
When he left, did he give no clues to his destination? No hints of any kind, Mary?
Wait. He did once say, Mary, I'm going to clear out to this puddle and make my fortune, even if I have to bury it. And then he said, bury me fortune? Huh, that's a joke, isn't it? I don't know what he meant by it.
I think I do, Mary. Watson, we're taking a short train journey as soon as possible.
Oh? Where are we going, may I ask?
We're going to the town of Bury in search of this young lady's husband.
What makes you think Tom might be in Bury, Mr. Holmes?
Because the famous Fortune cotton mills are in Bury. It would seem possible that when your husband joked of burying his fortune, he was talking of going to the mills there.
Wherever he's gone, he won't be coming back for me. I know that.
Now. Don't talk like that, my dear. Remember, Mrs. Lackland, you have friends. How much longer is Holmes going to be? He leaves me standing outside the factory gates as if I were a blasted coachman. Ah, there he is. Holmes!
Hello, Watson. Permit me to introduce you to Mr. Tom Lackland. Tom, this is Dr. Watson.
How do you do, Dr. Watson?
How do you do? Never mind how I do, young fellow me lad. How do you do? Your behavior has been absolutely shocking. Shocking!
Now, what are you talking about?
Leaving your dear old father and deserting your pretty little bride because you're ashamed of her. You're a scoundrel, sir. You deserve a good horsewhipping, and I have a good mind to give it to you.
I don't know what you're talking about, Dr. Watson, but I don't like the words you use. And if it's violence you two want, I don't mind telling you that I'm amateur heavyweight champion of the county.
You are? Oh, well, no need to become aggressive.
No, let's waste time on being acrimonious, Watson. Let's get back to the station as fast as we can. The return of the prodigal is long overdue. We must give them every opportunity to kill the fatted calf.
There's Mary's house. I'm dying to see her.
And after this reunion, Tom, I suggest that you both go over and see your father. I'm sure he'll forgive you.
Yes, Mr. Holmes, I'll do that.
Perhaps we should have warned her. Your sudden appearance may be something of a shock.
I think it's a shock that Mary can handle. She must be out. The door's locked.
Knock again if you don't mind. She may be asleep. Great heavens, that was a revolver shot!
Come on, Watson. Help me break in the door.
Now, Dr. Watson, that was a fine place to break off your story. You left me right on the edge of a cliff. Had the young girl shot herself?
She'd shot at herself, Mrs. Bell. But fortunately, her last-minute lack of courage had made the shot go wild. Holmes and I and the young bridegroom burst into the house and rescued the smoking revolver from her hand. I must confess, the reunion between the two young lovers was a touching sight.
Oh.
In fact, I felt considerably older than I was as Holmes and I stood there listening to Tom reassuring her.
Mary, darling, it's all right. I'm here.
Oh, Tom, you are. You did come back for me. I thought you never would. I tried to kill myself, but I hadn't the courage.
Oh, there, Mary. Everything's going to be all right now.
It will be. Tom, won't it? Oh, I'm so tired.
And now, Tom, I think the time has come to reassure Mary that you did write to her.
Of course I did, Mary, darling. I sent you money, and I told you I'd be back here to take you to Barry as soon as I'd saved up enough.
You wrote to me, Tom?
Twice a week. And I wrote to Father, too.
Then why didn't I get the letters?
The answer to that should be obvious, my dear. Gilly the postman deliberately withheld them from you.
Gilly?
Great heavens, why?
I have my suspicions. Strong suspicions. But I have to get proof. Tell me, Mary, the day before yesterday, Mr. Threadgold murdered his wife. Do you know how he learned of her infidelity?
Well, I'm not sure. But I did hear Mrs. Mickle say it was through some letters that got mixed up. The letters addressed to her were delivered to his office instead of at the house.
Gilly again.
Precisely. Surely the whole terrible pattern begins to take shape. Tom?
Yes, Mr. Holmes.
I'm going to lay a trap. To spring it, I shall need your assistance.
Of course, Mr. Holmes. I'll do anything.
Wait here with Mary until darkness falls. Then muffle yourselves up and go to your father's house. Wait there in hiding, and let no outsider see you until you hear from me.
Since you two lovebirds have been separated for 4 months, I don't imagine that will be too unpleasant.
Quiet, Watson. You understand, Tom?
Yes, Mr. Holmes.
Good. Come on, Watson.
What's your plan, Holmes?
I'll tell you as we go. One thing I can promise you. Before the sun is very high tomorrow, I shall free this village from one of the most subtly evil powers I've ever come in contact with.
Good morning, Dr. Watson, Mr. Holmes.
Good morning, Mrs. Mickle.
Good morning.
I always said that Mary was a no-good girl, and now she's killed herself. But of course, I had to come to her funeral.
That's very charitable, Mrs. Mickle, I must say. In any case, the vicar says that the poor girl was of unsound mind.
Yes, madam. You can't blame her.
Well, I'll be getting into the church.
Holmes, this farce is beginning to get on my nerves. What are we accomplishing by burying an empty coffin?
You'll soon see, old chap. Come on, let's slip in the vestry. This way.
Where are we going, Holmes?
Up the stairs that lead to the belfry. Ah, here they are.
Well, supposing Gilly turns nasty when she finds out we know her secrets?
Then we must handle her to the best of our ability, Watson.
Well, I must say I do not relish the thought of a tussle high in the belfry of a church. The woman must be insane.
Obviously. That's why her power must be destroyed. This door apparently leads to the belfry. Keep your wits about you, Watson. Good morning, Gilly.
Mr. Holmes, Dr. Watson, you've come to see me at work. That's nice of you. Not often I get company up here.
We haven't come up here to see you at work, Gilly. We know your diabolical labors only too well.
Yes, Gilly, we know your secret.
What secret's that?
You are mad with power, Gilly. You've tried to control the destiny of this village. In your position as postman, You thought you have the power to give life and death.
That I am, sir. And it's a great power. It makes a man feel good. Almost like a god, you might say.
That's sacrilege, you scoundrel. You were responsible for the murder of Mrs. Threadgold.
Aye, sir, that I was. And for the old man hanging himself.
You were responsible for John Letterby's suicide, weren't you?
That I was. Letterby tried to vote me off the village council. I swore I'd make him pay for it. And I did.
Your reign is over, Gillian. You'll never toll a bell again. The only one you'll hear will be a prison bell.
You can't touch me, Mr. Romes. You've got no proof. There's nothing you can do.
Don't be too sure. I have enough influence to take your job away.
You take me away from me, Bells?
You couldn't live without the power they give you, could you, Gilly?
You're trying to destroy me!
You're already destroyed, Gilly.
Yes, you've already failed. Mary's alive.
Alive? But the coffin they're burying down there.
It's full of stone. You'll be the laughing stock of the village, Gillian.
They'll never laugh at Gilly! You can't catch me, Mr. Romes! I'm beyond you still!
She's running up the ladder leading to the bell tower.
Come back, Gilly, come back!
She's mad as a hatter.
Quite.
What's she going to do up there? She might set fire to the steeple, could make any madness. I'm going to fetch her, Holmes.
No, Watson. She drew a knife as she fled. And with that rickety staircase and the narrow opening leading into the bell chamber, you'd never stand a chance. She'd get you on the first leg.
How are we going to get her down?
There's only one way. She's in a tiny loft containing her beloved bells. We'll see how much she loves them at close quarters. I doubt if even she can stand the noise in that confined space. Where's that bell rope?
Come down, Gilly! Come down from there!
Stop! Stop ringing my bell!
Not until you come down, Gilly!
Stop ringing them! I can't stand it! You'll make me mad!
You are mad, Gilly! Mad with power! Come down here, I say!
Fine! I'm coming down! Ah!
Great heavens! She hurled herself out of the belfry. Holmes! She hasn't the chance of surviving that fall.
Oh. I had no intention of causing that unhappy woman to jump to her death, Watson. Though, I can't help but feel that her poor demented mind may find a happy oblivion this way rather than in the confines of an asylum.
Yes, you're probably right, Holmes.
It's been a shocking case, Watson. Shocking. And once again, it proves the old saying that violence does intrude recoil upon the violent, and the schemer falls into the pit which he digs for another.
Well, what a fine story. Now, Dr. Watson, what about next week?
Well, now let me see. What's left in here? Next week, I'll tell you a rather gruesome story about how Sherlock Holmes saved the life and the sanity of a certain Count Romanea. I call it The Adventure of the Carpathian Horror.
Well, I'm already excited. Tonight's Sherlock Holmes performance was suggested by an incident in Sir Arthur Conan Doyle's story, The Golden Pince-Nez. The Sherlock Holmes performance is produced by Calvary University Theatre Arts. Sound effects by Esther McRae and Callie Johnson. Soundboard run by Nathan Smith. And lights by Zeb Johnson. This is Josephine Bell, speaking for Kreml Hair Tonic and Kreml Shampoo, and inviting you to be with us next week at the same time when Dr. Watson will tell us
The Adventure of the Carpathian Horror.
hearts of men. The Shadow knows!
The Shadow, the curious character that aids the forces of law and order, is in reality Lamont Cranston, wealthy man about town. As the Shadow, Cranston is gifted with hypnotic power to cloud men's minds so that they cannot see him. Cranston's friend and companion, the lovely Margot Lane, is the only person who knows to whom the voice of the invisible Shadow belongs. Today's story, The Ghost Walks Again. Night, peaceful, serene night, has just fallen on a small New England town. As the village clock strikes the hour of 9, we hear the footsteps of 2 women of the town on their way to a village meeting. Running late, they decide to take a shortcut through an ancient graveyard.
Sam,
I?
Sam, look up there by the big oak. Isn't that a fresh dug grave?
Well, now it sure looks like one.
Mighty odd. That section's closed off. Ain't been a burial there in over 200 years.
We'd better take a look up there.
Hold the lantern high, Sam. That's it.
Say, that dug-up ground looks to be right by the grave of Sir Roger Mathis.
Sam, that is the grave of Sir Roger Mathis. Now, who could have done that?
I don't know, but it's a pretty snide trick. Desecrating a grave that's over 200 years old? The grave of the first governor of our colony? Whoever the meddler was should...
No meddler desecrated this grave.
What was that? Sam, look, walking towards us. Look at that man.
His clothes are covered with dust. They're strange-looking clothes. Knee breeches, powdered wig, Puritan hat.
His face. Look at his face, Sam. It's like a death mask.
It looks like the pictures of Sir Roger.
I am Sir Roger. I have returned from the dead.
No, this is a joke.
I do not jest. I have returned to save thee and thy village from its sinful ways.
It can't be. It can't be.
Silence! If either of thee utters a single word, I shall run thee through with this sword.
What do we do, Sam? What will we do?
Thou shalt do as I command. Thou shalt learn from the will of Sir Roger Mathis's law, and to break that law means death. Dost thou hear? Death!
Fellow selectmen, the issue that brings us here tonight has to do with the old meeting place. Now, as you all know, this building was erected in 1712 by the first governor of this colony, Sir Roger Mathis. And as you also know, nothing has been disturbed within these walls since that day. The furniture, the paintings, even the ancient punishment stocks and torture presses are all still here in their original places.
Which is, should be.
Now, the issue that's been proposed by some members is that this hall, which has always been a private gathering place for the descendants of the first settlers of this village, be open to the public as a museum, and an admission price be charged.
The proposition is an outrage.
Please, Miss Crossman.
An outrage, I say. Thou art violating the laws that were passed down to us by our founder, Sir Roger Mathis.
Madam Crossman, you'll get a chance to talk later on.
I will talk now. Someone, go into the museum and fetch the original ruling written in Sir Roger's own hand. You go, Harvey.
Yes, ma'am.
I shall read to thee his document. In it he states that only the families of the village shall have the...
Oh, no. No!
What is it, Harvey?
In the press, the ancient torture press, there are 2 bodies.
What?
It's Sam and Grace Merrill. They've been crushed to death.
Merciful saints.
Look, they're clutching something in their hands. Both of them.
See what it is, Harvey.
Yes, ma'am.
Who could have done such a thing?
I saw them only an hour ago.
Here you are, Miss Stebbins. Looks like 2 pieces of old parchment.
Yes, that's what it is.
What's written on them? What does it say?
Glory. This can't be.
Well, what is it?
These are 2 ancient death warrants signed by Sir Roger Mathis.
Why, Why don't them state troopers come, Miss Stebbins?
They'll be here soon, Harvey.
I don't like being alone in this old place.
Someone had to stay here in the hall with the bodies until the police arrive.
I know. It's scary in here.
What's there to be afraid of?
What is there to be afraid of? Tell me who killed Sam and Grace. Why were they killed?
Harvey, I don't know.
I know why. They were for opening this place against the original wishes of Sir Roger. He had something to do with their death. I just got a feeling.
Now, you stop talking nonsense.
He was a stern old Puritan, Sir Roger was. I read all about him and that them that disobeyed his wishes. Did you hear that?
Yes, it was just the door.
Listen. Footsteps. Footsteps coming into the hall.
See, here, Harvey, if you're going to act like a fool.
Look!
Good heavens!
The ancient clothes the Puritans had in that face, like a face from the grave. It's Sir Roger.
Yes, it does look like him.
I can't stand it. I'm getting out of here.
No, come back here, Harvey.
No!
Come back here.
No, I'm going.
Harvey! Harvey! Harvey, you shouldn't have done a fool thing like that.
You have been left alone, Jane Stebbins.
You can't frighten me. Who are you?
I am the ghost of Sir Roger Mathis.
No, you keep away from me.
Thou hast broken the laws that I have handed down to thee. Thou hast suggested opening this meeting hall to the public. And for that, thou must pay for thy sins.
No. No!
Pay.
Keep away!
Pay, dost
No!
thou hear?
No!
Ah!
Yes, who is it?
It's me, Harvey. I gotta see ya.
What is it? What's wrong?
Sir Roger. The ghost of Sir Roger. We just saw him in the meeting hall.
Now, take it easy, Harvey. Where is Miss Stebbins?
Still in the meeting hall. She's alone with that ghost. Come with me at once. Right in here, Sheriff.
Hold that lantern steady, Harvey. I can't see a thing.
Where's Miss Stebbins? What's happened to her?
Now, I'm sure she's all right now. We'll just have a look around here. Harvey? Harvey, look. Look there by the speaker's pulpit.
It's Miss Stebbins. Her head and arms is locked in the ancient punishment stock.
Miss Stebbins is dead, Harvey. She's been strangled. Look there in her hand. She's clutching a piece of parchment.
It's the same. It's the same as the others.
Yes. Another death warrant signed by Sir Roger Mathis. And that was the night the whole thing started, Mr. Cranston.
Did the state police uncover anything?
Nope, they're as baffled as we. That's why I took liberty of sending word to you like I did.
Has the ghost of Sir Roger been seen since?
Oh yes, Miss Lane, many times. And there have been others that have died by his hand.
How many?
2 more. One was found hanging from the tree that was used for just that purpose in the olden days.
And the other?
He was tied to the ancient ducking stool. We found him in the river drowned.
And were both of these victims clutching a death warrant when they were discovered?
Yep, same way.
Have there been any clues at all? Any one thing that will link these crimes together?
Well, all of the people who died, they were in favor of opening the meeting place to the public.
Oh, I see.
But that only strengthens people's belief in the ghost of Sir Roger. They say that this is his vengeance for their proposing such a move.
Well, aside from the ghost of Sir Roger, what living person is opposed to the opening of the meeting place?
Quite a few would vote that way. The leader of the faction is old Sylvia Crossman.
Was she present the first night when the bodies were discovered?
Yes, she was, but you can't suspect her, Mr. Cranston. Old Sylvia is our leading citizen. Her family was one of the founders of the village.
I see. You've never even questioned her then?
Oh, no, I haven't.
Well, tell me, Sheriff, this ghost of Sir Roger, just where has he been seen? When have the appearances been made?
He's always been seen in the old meeting hall, usually at the hour of midnight.
Can it be arranged for us to get into the hall at that hour, Sheriff?
Why, certainly.
Without anyone in the village knowing that we're there?
Yep.
Very well. We shall seek out the ghost of Sir Roger Mathis tonight.
I don't think the ghost is going to appear.
The evening isn't over yet, Margot. You're not frightened, are you?
No, of course not. I mean, not very.
Listen. Midnight. The hour for the ghost to appear.
I still don't think he's coming.
Well, suppose we find that out right now. Sir Roger! Sir Roger! If you can hear me, why don't you show yourself?
No one answers.
Give him time, Margot. Just give him a chance to...
Lamont, listen.
That did it. He heard me. He's coming.
Where are those footsteps coming from?
I can't tell yet. They seem to be somewhere overhead.
Isn't there a small balcony just above us, Lamont?
Yes, he seems to be right above us now. Give me that flashlight, Margot.
Here you are.
Is that you, Sir Roger?
Who called to me? Speak up. Who summoned Sir Roger Mathis?
It is Sir Roger.
I warn thee, silence will bring destruction upon thee. Who called out my name?
I did, Sir Roger.
Where art thou?
Right down here, below you.
Lamont, that face. Look at that face. It's not human.
You do not find my face pretty to look upon? Why art thou here?
We've heard a lot about you, Sir Roger. The fear you've created in this village, we don't share that fear. That's why we're here.
Fools! The fate of the others will be thy fate as well.
We're chancing that. So come ahead. Bring your destruction, Sir Mathis. I'm most curious to learn your powers.
I select the time for my revenge.
Oh, I see. Then you're not going to harm us tonight, is that it? Very well, if you won't come to us, then we shall come to you.
Stay where thou art. I warn thee.
Come on, Margot. We're going up to meet Sir Roger right now. Hurry, Margot, up these stairs.
Right, Lamont.
Well, Sir Roger, he's gone.
But where did he go?
I have chosen not to meet thee at this moment.
Where is that voice coming from?
Listen to me, both of you.
He must have gone through a secret panel.
Thou hast dared defy the laws of Sir Roger Mathis, and by my sword, thou shalt die for it!
This meeting hall certainly looks different in the daylight, doesn't it, Lamont?
Yes, very much so.
Did you say anything to the sheriff about last night's encounter, Lamont?
No, I thought it best not to mention it to anyone for the present. We do know now, though, that Sir Roger proved himself to be a very human ghost.
Yes.
But who he is and what his motives might be still remain to be discovered.
And how he got away.
Yes. And that's what we'll try to find out now. Let's take a look at this wall, Margot.
You think he escaped through a secret panel?
Oh, undoubtedly. You stay at this end, Margot. I'll go look down by the speaker's pulpit. If you find anything suspicious, call me.
Well, this panel seems solid enough. No sign of
Good
any...
afternoon. Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to frighten you.
Oh, it's quite all right. I just didn't hear you.
Yes. I'm Edward Darrow.
Well, how do you do? I'm Margot Lane.
Oh, Miss Lane.
Oh, Lamont, will you come here?
Yes, coming.
Lamont, this is Darrow, is it?
Yes, that's right.
Mr. Darrow, Mr. Cranston.
How do you do?
How do you do, Mr. Cranston? The sheriff tells me that you're trying to track down our elusive ghost.
Well, we're making an attempt.
I'll be greatly relieved if you find him, sir.
Why's that?
Well, I've been more or less the leader of the group who wished to open this meeting hall to the public. And most of those who are on my side have met death at the hands of the ghost.
Oh, and you feel that you might be next?
Yes, sir, I do.
Have there been any attempts on your life?
No, not yet. Not good. Although my aunt probably wishes there had been.
Your aunt?
Sylvia Crossman. She heads the opposition group.
Oh.
She's plenty sore at me. I guess I'm disgracing the family name by fostering this move to open the meeting hall.
I see.
Have you discovered anything that might be a clue to these killings?
No, we were just looking around in here, having heard of the ghost and knowing that all good ghosts use secret passageways and such, we hoped we might stumble on one.
Say, that's an idea. Perhaps I can help you.
How do you mean?
Well, I'm to be in charge of the restoration work in this hall if it's ever opened. And I have a sheaf of the original plans of the building at home.
Really? Could we see them?
Well, surely. I'll dig them out for you this evening if you wish.
Well, we'd appreciate that. Where shall we meet you?
Back here at the meeting hall?
All right. It's a date.
Oh. Fine. Well, I've got to be getting along. Oh, by the way, I trust no word of this will get to my Aunt Sylvia. She might...
We won't mention it to anyone.
Oh, thank you. Goodbye.
Margot, I think it's time we investigated Ms. Crossman. I'm going to pay a call on her right now as the Shadow.
What was that?
Sorry to interrupt your letter writing, Ms. Crossman.
Who are ye? Where does thy voice come from?
I am right beside you, Sylvia Crossman. Don't trouble yourself to look for me. No human eyes have ever seen me.
What is thy name?
I am called the Shadow.
What brings thee into my house?
I'm here in search of a ghost, Ms. Crossman. The ghost of Sir Roger Mathis!
Why do you seek him here?
Because I believe you know all about him.
I know no more than any of the others.
Why are you opposed to the opening of the old meeting hall?
'Cause the hall belongs only to those of the village. For hundreds of years it has always been that way. They shall not desecrate an ancient tradition.
Do you realize those are the same words used by the ghost of Sir Roger Mathis?
I'm aware of that.
People aren't going to continue to believe that a ghost is responsible for the killings in this village. Soon they'll know that a human hand has caused these deaths. And when they do, Sylvia Crossman, their suspicions will fall on you!
Why? Why me?
Because of your behavior. The way you live in this house surrounded by the relics of the past. You still write with an ancient quill. Your speech. You use the antiquated thee and thou just as the ghost of Sir Roger does.
That proves nothing.
You're wrong, Ms. Crossman. That evidence alone would be enough to convict you in a court of law. Now what do you know about these killings?
Nothing. I know nothing about them.
Very well. I've given you your chance. And let me warn you, Ms. Crossman, there is no escaping justice. If you are the killer, believe me, you will pay for your crime.
Lamont, do you think Mr. Darrow will keep his word?
I believe so, Margot.
I shouldn't like to spend many more nights in this eerie old hall.
Well, if everything works out as I expect, then...
Lamont, do you hear those footsteps?
Yes.
Can it be Sir Roger again?
We'll soon find out.
Hello there. Sorry I'm late.
It's you, Mr. Darrow. You gave us quite a scare.
Sorry. It seems to be a habit with me, doesn't it?
Did you bring the plans?
Yes. There are 2 copies of them. You may take one.
Thank you. I think we'd better go right to work. We can each start at one end of the wall, Mr. Darrow.
What about me?
If you don't mind, could you stay with me? You see, my eyesight is rather poor, and in this dim light,
Oh, all right. I'll go with you, Mr. Darrow.
Thank you. Here are the plans, and here's my flashlight, Miss Lane.
Call out to me if you find anything.
Yes, we will.
We can start right here, Miss Lane. Do the plans indicate anything for this section?
Well, there does seem to be one thing that might mean something. It would be about this point on the wall.
Where?
This panel here. Look, Mr. Darrow. It moves.
Why, so it does.
Wait, I'll see if I can get a hold of it. There. Why, the panel's open. Let's call Lamont.
Stop! Shut up. If you're so anxious to meet Sir Roger, suppose I take you to see him right now.
Ow! Lamont!
Margot?
Lamont, help me!
In you go!
Ah! Where have you taken me?
We're in a secret compartment of the cellar beneath the meeting hall. This place is known only to me.
You let me out of here!
You can cry out your heart's content if you wish. No one will hear. These walls were made especially thick to muffle sound. They had a purpose in building them that way in the olden days.
What do you mean?
This room, which I discovered through the plans, was an ancient torture chamber. Torture chamber, yes. Look about you. See the press? The spike-studded pit?
Oh, no.
Excellent for entertaining, don't you think?
Who knew? Then it was you who's been impersonating Sir Roger?
That's correct.
But why did you bring me here?
You shall learn presently. You see this fire I have started in the forge?
Yes.
I placed a branding iron in there, and soon that iron will be white hot.
No. Why are you doing this?
In the days of the Puritans, they had a very satisfactory method for dealing with meddlers. They branded them upon the forehead.
No. No!
Soon, young lady, soon you shall feel the searing agony of that branding iron biting into your flesh.
You're mad!
You won't feel the pain too long. Oh, no, no. You see, after you're branded, I have another treat for you. The press. The torture press.
You let me out of here!
Prepare yourself. The branding iron is glowing now. It's ready to use.
You can't do this. Please.
Yes. Prepare yourself, Miss Lane. I have the iron ready now.
Keep that away. Keep it away.
Drop that iron, Mr. Darrow.
Who was that?
Release the girl.
No. No. Let go of my arm. Let me finish my work.
There. Your work is finished, Mr. Darrow.
Who are you?
I am the Shadow.
I've heard of you.
And you know, too, that I'm here to put an end to your career of torture and murder, Mr. Darrow.
Oh? And how do you propose to do that, Mr. Shadow?
By turning you over to the police.
The police will never get me.
We shall see. Why did you do it? Why did you kill those people?
Because of my aunt, Sylvia Crossman. I hate her. Her and all she stands for. But now, I've had my revenge. She will be blamed, you see. She will be held for the murders.
What makes you think that?
Because none of us are leaving this building alive.
You're wrong, Edward Darrow.
You'll see. You'll see.
Look out. He's tipping over the forge.
Don't do that, Darrow!
It's done now, Shadow. Look, the flames are already licking up the walls. This old hall is a tinderbox. It'll burn to embers in no time.
The fire, it's catching all over the room.
Yeah? What are you gonna do now, Shadow?
We're getting out of here. Go to that door at the end of the room, Margot. If we can get upstairs, we have a chance to escape. I'll keep him away from you. Hurry, Margot. Hurry!
Hold on to my arm, Margot.
The smoke, Lamont. I can't see.
We've got to keep going. We're upstairs now. We should be near the door.
Oh, Lamont. The smoke.
Margot. Margot. Here, I'll carry you. We haven't far to go. We can make it. Only get to the door. Get to the door. Wait, this is it. I found the door, Margot. We've made it. How do you feel, Margot?
Better, thank you.
Take a look at that old meeting hall. It's a mass of flames.
Yes, we got out just in time. Any sign of Darrow?
No, and there's no hope for him now, I guess. He must be...
Look! In the belfry of the meeting house, there's someone standing up there.
Lamont, that's Darrow.
Yes, look at him. He's waving his arms. He's shouting something to the crowd.
Lamont, he's going to jump.
Turn your head, Margot. I just talked to the police, Margot. They searched young Darrow's house.
Did they find anything?
Yes, among other things, they found the costume he wore for his ghostly impersonations.
Why did he ever do it, Lamont?
Well, they found his diary among his effects. That's told the real story, Margot.
What was it?
Well, the young man was most anxious to inherit his aunt's fortune. So he devised the first murder to throw suspicion on the old woman, hoping that she would be blamed for it and possibly executed for the crime.
What a fool.
I'm certain he didn't have a very balanced mind to begin with. And after the first killing, he just went berserk with a lust for murder. That proved his downfall.
Well, at least something good came of this tragedy, Lamont.
What's that?
The town will no longer be divided over the meeting hall because there just isn't any more hall.
The weed of crime bears bitter fruits. Crime does not pay. The shadow knows.